In the last episode, we were still busy rebuilding from the big fire and also expanding the city a bit. So, if you have any stones or iron available, just feel free to donate them to the City of Heroes Will, and let's play some more Banished. This is also going to be the last episode I'm going to record today, because it's 11:45, and well, that is the midnight 12, not the midday 12. And I have a field trip tomorrow, so I kinda need to be at the university very early. I usually don't have to start university before 12 on Fridays, because I have a lecture, no, actually before 1, because I have a lecture on at 1. It's the only one I have on Fridays. So I can do that, and then I usually have to go to work. I didn't do it because I've seen weird things on field trips. And even though we are scheduled to return at 5, at least that's the official announcement, I have seen field trips where, for example, the person who is usually responsible for that kind of stuff, which is usually some sort of a PR person, wasn't around for whatever reason, or was on vacation. It just got forgotten, and then they have to spend an hour or more just trying to get somebody to show you around the place. And of course that hour will not be traveled home earlier. Like that is an hour that you get home later, because you get your stuff done later. You get the stuff you wanted or your professors wanted you to see way later, and it just goes down from there. Also, wow, we have used up all the tools, so we really need more iron and coal and workers. That's actually the thing we need most. Workers. If I had workers, I could stuff them all into the mine and it would be fine. But now we are running low on tools. Luckily you don't need a tool to make a tool, so as long as we have a blacksmith who can hammer out his hammer and anvil with his bare hands, we're good. Didn't I have a blacksmith here? No. I had a tailor and a hospital and some houses, which miraculously didn't catch fire. Hooray! Also, we are at 5 labourers again. So now we're at 6, which means we can actually make more builders happen. I'll try to get those buildings done first, and once those are done, we will try to get people into the mines. Actually, no, we'll stick with 2 builders, and I'm going to stick some people into the mines because we need more tools. And for more tools, we need more iron. And you get the overall picture. Also, wow, we are at 50,000 food. 50,000. And we probably can't stuff it anywhere. Yeah, there is no place we can put it. We are working on getting a place back up again. But yeah, it needs time and loads of iron. Simple as that. Time and loads of iron. Those are the 2 main ingredients for storage capacity. I don't want to build another barn because I don't really see the point in doing so. Actually, I would, but I don't want to place it anywhere right now, because it just makes sense where you produce stuff, and I believe that everything is currently sorted out. We just have a huge overproduction, and that is something I really don't mind. Okay, time to rotate crops again. I know I don't have to, but it's kind of a weird habit and kind of a year's end ritual for me. You end the year, you rotate the crops, and everything goes as usual. It's like one of those things you do to ward off evil spirits. You don't know if it actually wards off evil spirits. You don't know if there are evil spirits to ward off in the first place, but you do it anyway. Because what's there to lose? I mean, if you don't do it, you will have evil spirits chasing you, or not, if there aren't any. If you do it, it's basically Pascal's wager, you know. I suppose you all know about Pascal's wager. It was one of the, I think I've talked about it in this, in one of the videos earlier. It's basically a thing saying, like, if you believe in God, and if you live your life to, or if you follow the faith, and you realize it was, and there is a God, then you have essentially won everything. If you live your life faithful and there is no God, then you will have lost nothing, which is something people wouldn't probably agree with. But that's what Pascal said. And if you didn't believe, if you didn't live a faithful life, and there is a God, then you're screwed. And if you didn't, and there wasn't, then you have gained nothing. So it's basically something that they used in religious education to tell you that believing in God was a good thing. I'm actually raised Catholic. I do respect the Pope, but I don't think he is infallible, as the Pope has been, well, it's actually not this Pope, but since the Middle Ages, the Pope has been dictating that he doesn't make mistakes. The Pope is always right. And it took the Church a long time to accept that the Pope is not necessarily always right. There are various things in which the Pope really isn't right. Also, I like to see that we essentially store cattle over the limit here. But I'm not sure if that's because we have hit the storage cap, or if it's because, I believe it is, or if it's because the herdsman just didn't get to produce anything yet. But yeah, it's fine. So once we actually hit capacity, or once we are lower than the capacity, how much are we storing? 50,000. That's probably all we can store right now. Although I'm going to set this up to 60,000, just for the sake of having 60,000 food around. It's a shame you can't really sell that. I mean, I suppose if there was a famine outside, we'd probably make a fortune with that, even though it would probably feel wrong to do so. We could make a fortune with a famine outside. And that's something I would probably like to see implemented, and that will probably never be implemented. Like having the prices of those traders be affected by events in the outside world. Wouldn't that be fun? If you say, okay, there is a war going on outside, we need food, all our fields have been ravaged, and all the peasants have been moved to the field of honor. They have to kick our foes into the butt, or something like that. So we need more food, or we need more tools, or we need more of this now, or we need more building materials now. On the other hand, it would probably be way more effort than it was eventually worth. So I can also see why they wouldn't do that, why they wouldn't bother simulating an outside world. It's also very difficult to actually properly simulate that. I mean, you could say, okay, we need more food because there is a war, or there's a war, we need more iron, or more such things. But I believe that many of those connections are very, very subtle, and also very hard to grasp. So you probably also, I realize winter might be blotchy here, so sorry about that. And it's probably just not always the same. You probably can't say that there is a war, somebody needs more food, because especially later on, people would probably preserve a certain degree of peasants and a certain degree of farmers just to keep the food going, because a starving population is not going to do very well in the fight. They're not going to be overly motivated. For one, they're also not going to be overly happy. Okay, food merchant, bugger off. And they're not going to produce that many children. And if you have a war going, you really want children. Okay, why would you bring 3 pumpkin seeds? Like 3 bags of them. Okay, now this is actually tempting. This is tempting to buy that coal. Then again, I'm quite sure they just burn it in their homes, so screw it. I'm not going to pay for coal. At least not right now. I believe people actually prefer firewood, or they might actually prefer coal, I'm not sure. So, not sure how that works. So we'll not buy coal. I would want coal to make iron tool or steel tools with, which we currently can't. But yeah, it's just not something I feel we badly need, and I would prefer to have those trading goods available for when we really need them. When we actually have a merchant that has iron or something, and we really need to sell to buy all of that. And if next merchant that comes around doesn't have any, we'll probably try to place 1 order, not 3, only 1 order. So if that merchant returns next year and somebody else has been faster with cheaper iron, then, well, bad luck for him. I mean, since those merchants are trying to rip us off big time, we can try to do at least something to return the favor. That is the same merchant, okay. Oh, well, we have more miners. I need more miners. I could probably also set this coal mine to stop working, but I don't want to. I believe it's a good thing to have this entire thing going, and to produce both. I'm not sure how we'll... I guess I'll put a mine here next, if there is a chance to do so. Man has become a student. That's actually German for man, so I'm not sure where those names come from. I think they were community suggested. Maybe by... I'm not sure if Banished was actually brought to Kickstarter or something, but they might have been just community names for suggested by backers, but I'm really not sure there, so it might be wrong. They might just have picked random names from their community. I mean, I believe they have forums, so maybe they would be doing that, or they took community requests or recommendations or something. I mean, some of those names look a bit like names you would not use normally for a child. Then again, this is a kind of secluded community, so you really don't know how those people would start naming their children. I mean, we're still very far from kind of the Indian lifestyle or any other nature people lifestyle, where you try not to do too much with nature. You can royally screw up nature here. You can just deforest the entire place, and then have to rely on basically wood deliveries from the outside world. But you'd be well advised not to do so, and I believe that as soon as you have some kind of forest still standing, it will always be able to come back. Although I'm not sure how the forest will, if the forest will spread that much, but it seems to do so. I mean, we have forests all over the place. Just checking here, but we have forests everywhere. I believe if you deforest an area and you just let it sit for a while, it will just keep spreading again. And when we had it over here, I believe we only had those few trees standing when we actually only those, and those are new, but I might be wrong there. Also, I suppose if you have only a few trees, and they're not so likely to reproduce than if you have a cluster of trees like those, which will most likely do a lot more. Also, did my We had some iron here. Is that finally? Yeah, it's used up. So what I might do for the end of the year is actually find some iron and order them to remove all of that. We'll only go for the iron right now. And also, the tree just falling over. Sometimes that happens. So yeah, we'll try to get all the iron from there, and then I'll have to put more people into the mines. I can do that right now. I could leave them laborers and let them... Sorry about that, just hit my microphone. I could leave them as laborers and then keep them and let them just harvest that iron. But I think I'd be better off putting them into the mines, where they'd produce that as well and would do nothing else. Your laborers would do a variety of things, not necessarily the ones you want them to. So they might also just go and carry things to a barn or carry things to a building, which is something we don't necessarily want right now. I mean, we do have 5 laborers doing that, and we hopefully have them doing that soon to this place. We also have way more children now. We have 28 children. I believe we're getting up. We also see that the school is back to 23 children, which means, yeah, we were getting... the birth rates are slowing down again, or at least the rate at which people... Actually, it's a birth rate, so it has been slowing down, and this slow... it's kind of an anti-wave. I'm not sure if you can call it like that, but... yeah, it's kind of this valley, not a wave. It's more of a valley that's rolling through now, where you have less children, then you have less students, and then we'll eventually have less workers again. And actually, can we see that in the town hall? Let's see that before we start off. Yeah, we have here. You have children. This goes down, then. This goes down a bit afterwards. You can see that here. If we go up here, the amount of adults, no, students here, this goes down, and the amount of students is still rising. Then this goes down a bit delayed, and then it goes up again, and it's all delayed here. And if you go here, you see that the adult count is even... well, it kind of matches the student low, because of course these students go there. So yeah, this is somewhat overlapping. I suppose it fell together with the famine here, so we can't really use that. There you see the children counts here have been fluctuating. This is probably the nomad thing here. Somewhere here we had nomads, so in this section one of the bumps might be the nomads, and you see what I mean. Yeah, it's basically that. And also look at that, the overall population is declining, which is basically a product of this this lack of houses, because as I've said, you basically have families that don't produce children anymore, that are out of the fertile age, and that just occupy homes, and that those homes won't have any children. So at some point, most of your houses are, well, kind of occupied by such non-fertile couples, and they're just full of non-fertile people. Or infertile would be the proper word, and that's when your population starts to go down. And that's why I try to keep building houses, but again, you shouldn't overdo it. I might have actually overdone it, but I'm not too sure about that. I mean, we are doing fine here, and I'm actually going to do something else before I quit this episode, and that is to increase the priority of this. I want my market back. Speaking of I want my something back, the Brits have finally decided to vote. Actually, this entire session has been recorded after that. It's actually recorded on Thursday, the 30th of June, and a bit on Friday, the 1st of July. So yeah, last week the British people decided to leave the European Union. I believe this was a stupid move, and I believe the British are seeing that now too. But you really can't... actually, I can blame them. I believe that it was a product of quite a misinformation campaign, especially regarding the European Union regulations. Yeah, they were going like, yeah, there were 109 regulations regarding pillows, and then they were quoting some, but the thing is, they seem to just have done kind of a word search for pillow, and some of those were like for pillow-shaped filling bodies and pillow-shaped, I don't know, pasta and stuff, and they just said, yeah, that those are regulations regulating your pillows. And you must, I believe you need to see it a different way. People make those regulations because at some point it was necessary to make them. People realized, well, shit, if we have lead and other heavy metals in our pillows, we will incorporate them as we sleep, and that's not exactly healthy. So what they did was they made a regulation to protect the citizens from sleeping in sleeping on contaminated pillows, which I believe is a good thing, and you'd be hard pressed to convince me of the opposite. I mean, yes, you technically do have the right to sleep on a pillow that has all the elements in the periodic system, but yeah, it's not necessary to do that. And I just really dislike that, and I really disliked to see how things were going there. Okay, what do I need to do next here? I actually need to cut the episode and go to bed, but aside of that, what would I need to do? I still have 2 laborers to put somewhere, and I want to put them to good use with... I don't want to make them builders, because I believe 2 builders are enough. I was not sure where those builders are working currently, because none of those houses seem to have them. Oh, they're both here, yeah, okay, because I increased the priority of that. It was kind of silly of me, considering we don't have iron here. So, speaking of that, I'll put them to work in the mines. I don't believe putting more people onto the fields now is that good of an idea, because the fields are kind of full. And the barns are kind of full, so whatever we harvest, it will probably just lead to more food overflow, and that won't serve us really well. Also, yeah, this episode is way too long again, so I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to name all the episodes, which is something I usually do on my computer. So I do it in the photo where I have the episodes, because I sometimes have the episode around for a while before I upload it, and if I name them right after I recorded it, it's generally better to do so, because I still remember something of the episode, and that makes it easier to name it. Sometimes I've had it when I had like 2 weeks passing before I uploaded like the 3rd episode in a batch, and I would have to watch it again to just give it a name and to remember what the hell did I do in this episode. And that really doesn't help. Also, we are really short on tools, which doesn't really help. And what I'd like to see is a merchant with iron, because if I had a bit more iron, I could finish this market in no time, and that would be a good thing. Would you agree? A merchant has arrived. Let's see if he has the much... No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. Of course he doesn't have what we need. Screw those merchants. Okay, so time to break up the episode. I hope this all recorded properly. Apparently Banished is kind of weird in terms of recording. I actually have to redo the or reset the recording. I have to constantly remove Banished from the list of recordings in OBS. Then I have to add it again as global source, and then it records again. If I don't do that, it seems to only give me a black screen, which kind of sucks. But I did some tests before I did this, so this should have recorded properly. It was another thing that kept me from recording for a while. Anyway, change of plans. We'll mark this as the increased priority bit. So the builders should go here now. Yep. There is no point in having them over here when we don't have the iron for them, and where they just twiddle their thumbs. So that's sorted something out. Next episode we'll hopefully get this market back up. Then we'll start with a tavern, and then we'll see. We'll get more houses, we'll have more children, and things will be good again. Make Eurostville great again. Actually, it is a pretty great place. I mean, well, what do people miss here? We have free healthcare, we have food for everybody, we even have religion. Not that we needed it. We have a variety of food. We have very healthy food. I mean, you can eat everything you want here. We have education. So this really is utopia. We even have a small class size. That's what many modern schools are struggling with. Especially with, at least in Germany, we have many schools that have been basically shut down because, for example, they were built in some sort of village, and they just didn't have the population to, thank you, Nathaniel, to keep the school running. So the government closes down schools to save money, and the children from there have to go to other schools, and then those are kinda overfilled, and that's the other extreme. And then you have like classes of 30 people and more, and that's not good learning. It's actually, I believe that's scientifically proven that this is not good learning, and you just don't do yourself much of a favor if you put such big classes in schools. Yeah. And they are trying to get this down, and look at that. I mean, we had a class with 2 pupils. I mean, I'm not sure how old those were, if they were close in age or not. We actually could do like elementary school where people have 1 year here, 1 year here, and 1 year in the school at the other end of town. Then again, that seems like a rather useless thing to do, but fun nonetheless. Anyway, I'm finally going to break off the episode. I'm going to save the game and going to get my ass to bed because I really need to sleep. Gotta get up in less than 6 hours. Yeah, slightly less than 6 hours. Anyway, I just want to get those recordings done, and I'm going to get them uploaded now, hopefully. And I suppose 4 of them are going to go up later, provided they're going to be uploaded in the right order. That's another thing. I used to, if I planned to release several videos, I would do that, and I would just upload, like, I would record 4, and if I wanted to release 2 of them, I would just upload them and select them both. In this case, I would probably want to upload and release 4 of them, and if YouTube cancels the upload, I would also add them to the playlist and set YouTube to publish them all when they get released, when the upload is complete. And I can't do that now because I would then have to go check if the upload was right. And then I'd have to then I'd have to if it has been cancelled, I would have to set the I would have to re-upload, and I would have to hope this works this time. Then I'd have to add it to the playlist, and I have to go edit the playlist, and it would be very inconvenient for me to do so. So I'll probably go back to just upload all the videos and release them gradually and add them to the thing or to the stuff. Yeah, I also hope I get the other weekly slots filled. Go to the menu here. So I hope I get the other weekly slots filled with live again. I'm trying to record way more than I would usually, so I can give you the backlog of videos that some of you have been waiting for. And again, I apologize. I'm glad many of you have decided to stick with the channel, and I've actually gained 1 or 2 subscribers while I was not uploading, and I hope you guys are still around, and I hope you guys enjoy the content I produce. And I really would like to see this channel go somewhere, preferably up and not down. I mean, it could also go down, but I'd rather not see that. Anyway, it's finally time to cut the episode. I've given you some extra long episodes here, so I hope you appreciate that, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.